Welcome back to Prof E Plays. I'm Prof E, and we're going to be picking up here with Shadowdark. We are in session number 29, according to my notes. That is wild to think about that it's session 29. But here we are. So we are picking up here with our heroes whose character sheets I neglected to actually get out of my binder. Right, so uh, our heroes are right, what is his name? Godfrey. Right, so we've got Godfrey the thief, right, Ishana the priest, Sage the wizard apprentice, and then finally Hrogar the um, fighter, soldier, whatever. In terms of kind of where we are at this point, just to remind you of we're in the overarching story. So at this point, this party is not the same as what I started with. If you go back to episode 1, very different set of characters. Stuff happened. Right? But in any case, what we were trying to do is learn the secret of why it is that the ghost wizard Laios still has maintained some of his magical power because Sage's mentor, Ophelia, is very interested in this fact that we happen to have learned while we were trying to do something else. Right? So that is kind of what our mission has morphed into. We want to find that secret. And I suspect that secret is going to be in a dungeon that Sage has been to before, and that is the reason that we have new characters, with the exception that Sage was not an original one, but did not meet the same fate as the other characters he went in with. Let's put it that way. Right, so that's where we are at this point. But the sorceress Ophelia, that is Sage's mentor, said, "Well, obviously the problem was you tried to go into that dungeon when you weren't ready yet, so you need more training. You don't have the experience you need. You need to go. We need to get a new party together, and we need to make sure that everybody has reasonable experience before they go into the situation that they're going to be facing, right? So she's effectively sending them on training missions, right? So that is where we are now, right? They have traveled across the land. I haven't actually given the land a name, right? So they've traveled across the land, and they are now standing outside a wizard's tower. This tower has an elven look to it, very Art Nouveau, and this is known as the Lab of the Desecrated Ritual. That's what we know. So we are going to be going into this lab. I have actually already created the structure of this lab right here. Unfortunately, my phone camera is not the best because so it's it's one of those cameras where it has like two lenses. One of them is cracked, right? So unless I put it on like super zoomed in mode, you can see it has kind of this cloudy look. So I could show you, oh, right there's the map, and you can kind of sort of see the structure of it. What I have not determined, so I rolled that all up ahead of time, so you don't have to watch step by step. If you want to see how I did this kind of thing, watch some of the previous episodes, and I did go through using it as the dungeon point crawl generator from here it is. The dungeon point crawl generator from Tele Clandestine. I don't know how. I imagine my pronunciation is wrong because I'm guessing that is a French name. So in any case, right. So this has how to generate this whole point crawl system, uh, which I decided I like that for the way that I'm running Shadow Dark here in this series. Right. So I'm not worried about the exact number of squares or anything like that. I'm keeping things kind of abstracted as far as that goes. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the map that is virtually impossible to read. From your end, from my end, it's perfectly fine. Just pencil doesn't show up very well. All right, so we are at the door. We're getting ready to head in. All right, so we're going to go in, and the first thing that I have here is that in this entrance, it is guarded by some kind of guards. So I'm going to look at at my first level of this dungeon. I have um, a random encounter generator here. Um, so what we're going to be encountering in the first level, one of those options is bandits. So I think it makes sense for there to be bandits here. Now, I'm not sure how many bandits there will be. Right, so I was just looking at some of the questions related to balance for this game. Right. And apparently the recommendation, if you have the actual Shadow Dark book, which I don't own it yet. Uh, maybe that'll be like my birthday gift to myself or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, I don't have that yet. I'm working purely off of the free quick starts. So that limits the exact encounters that I'm going to face. It certainly also limits the information that I have. Okay. So things like GM advice, there's some of that. There's definitely some of that in the GM guide, and I have some of that available, and I've looked at it and all of that. But one thing that it does not have is advice about how many monsters you should face if you design an encounter. But a little bit of Google found that the general advice is to take the number of characters you have. If you're doing one-on-one, right, then you should have level for the monster should be equal to the level for the character. Now, if you change the number, then naturally things will be different. So, right now we have a total of 8 levels amongst our 4 characters, right? So, when I look at the level of a bandit as a monster, bandits are a level 1 monster, which suggests, right, that we should be facing off against 8 of them if we want to be perfectly balanced. Now, I don't want it to be perfectly balanced. Uh, I don't care that much. Right, what I'm going to do to make this decision, oh, this is perfect. I like this idea. Right, so I'm going to take 2d8. Right, so this is going to average out to roughly 8. Right, it'll be slightly above that. Technically, the average when you roll 2d8, I believe, is 9. Um, but close enough, right? Right, so I'm going to roll 2d8, and that would be how many bandits we face here as we enter this dungeon. And the answer is 8. I mean, until I bumped it. So the answer is actually 8. Okay, well, all right then. Okay, so after we scientifically determined that 8 was in fact the appropriate number, right, and that 8 was not the number that I was going to worry about facing, right, we're going to end up facing 8 of them. And of course, that's just the way things go. Right, so there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'll just put all my wooden guys there. 8. So it's a pretty crowded room. But remember, this is all abstracted. Okay, so as we come in, I guess one question is, I wonder how big this room is, right? So I'm not going to roll for the size of the room because I don't really care about those details. But what I can do is I'm going to roll for the closeness of this encounter, right, once we face it, and we have a table for that. Right, so I will just roll a d6, and that will tell me. Oh, I shifted that off to the side. 3. Right, so 3 reading, so near. So that means that we are within striking distance for any kind of ranged weapon, but we're gonna have to use a move to get into melee. But at the very least, we can get into that as we wish. All right. So at this point, we have a whole bunch of these guys, and each of them has 4 XP, right? So, well, not XP, 4 HP rather. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this down. So 1, so this is room number 1, guards, put an exclamation point there. Right, and I'm just going to mark here they're bandits. And so each of them is going to have 4 HP. So I'm just going to mark down their numbers. It's 1, 6, 5, 4, 7, 3, and 9. And then what I'm just going to call purple. Each of them has 4 hit points to start with. Why did I write down 4 instead of just mark down damage that happened? I don't know. I didn't think about it. All right, so we are drastically outnumbered. So the question is, can we fight our way out of this? Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. That's why you play, right? If I knew, there'd be very little point. Okay, so I think it makes sense. The first thing we want to do is roll our initiative. So for them, for bandits, Their dex is at a +0. Now we have somebody that has better dex than that. Our dex is at a +2. So I'm gonna roll white as the party. Okay. Oh, awful. Just terrible. Just absolutely terrible. Okay, so the bandits go first. Our bandits, it says, are equipped with either a club or a short bow. Um, so I think that we just kind of want to determine that randomly. So I think of what I'm going to do. I'm just going to roll 8 dice. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. I roll 8 dice and just do odds or evens. Right, so any odds are going to be a club. Any evens are going to be a short bow. Right, so we've got this is an even. That technically I'll count as an odd because it's the tens place. Even, odd, even, odd, odd. So it's even. No, that states 4 and 4. It's evenly divided. There we go. So we got 4 and 4. Okay. So let's just go ahead and label them. I'm just going to say 1, 6, 5 in purple. The ones up front are the ones with clubs, and the others have short bow. Now, the bandits, they do have this ability of ambush, but I think we have detected them because we're in a relatively small room. So like we're no more than 30 feet away ish, right? Something like that. So I don't think that they were hiding, is kind of my thought. I suspect we took them kind of unaware. But I think that that also means they can see us. So unless Ishana can really, no, not Ishana. So unless Godfrey can really hope that they're distracted or something like that, it's going to be hard for him to get a backstab. Okay, it's just keeping that in mind. All right, so what are they going to do? I think they have no idea, right, who would be the greatest threat. So I think it makes sense. They're just going to divide up. Um, well, I think they'll pick. No, they're going to go one by one. So they're going to pick one person, try to take them out first. I mean, that's strategically what makes sense, right? Uh, because that would tip things in their favor. All right, so I'm just going to say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then roll a d4. 1. So they are going after Godfrey. Poor Godfrey has 5 hit points. He is in trouble. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go one by one. So I think first, it makes sense the short bow folks would go first. So the roll here for the short bow is at a +0, which that's good. That's good. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and roll 4 of them. We'll speed things along a little bit, right? So, oh goodness. 17, 18, 19, and then an 8. Well, the 8 is going to miss. All other 3 are going to hit, right? So I'll then just roll 3d4 for the damage then. Right. Well, you know what? No, I need to do this one at a time because if they kill him, they're going to go on to somebody else, right? So first does 1 point of damage. Okay, that's could be worse. Okay. All right, next. Another point of damage. Okay. So he's probably going to survive this particular volley. Right. And then finally, 3 points of damage. Oh, never mind. So he is making death saves. This is a great way to start a dungeon. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. He's going to be making death saves here. All right. And let's see, how many does he get to make? 4 plus his constitution modifier. So he gets 5 rounds until he's dead. All right. Well, that could have gone better. All right, so he is down. So then they have to pick their next victim. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the d6 as a d3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that'll count as 1, 2, or 3. And counting across here from Ishana. 2. So they're going after Ishana next. So Godfrey is out, has 5 rounds of death saves. Fantastic. All right, wait. I'm just going to put a counter die on him rather than having to write down every round. Okay. So now, we've got that. Ishana is going to be the next target. So again, I think all the melee folks are running after Ishana now, and they're going to try to whack him. Now, okay, so with the club they're at a +1 with this. All right, now he needs a 14 to hit him. He was much luckier. Three of them just whiff. Okay, so we've got him over here with all he's surrounded. Just gonna remove Godfrey for the moment. So he's surrounded. He's in a very bad position, but only one of them actually managed to swing and hit him, which is good, which is good at least for us. All right, and they again swing with a D4, and that is it was a one until I bumped it. Okay, let's say it was one. So that's 6 points. 6 points remain. Wonderful. Okay. All right, so now it's our turn. Um, this is naturally not a great situation to be in. So I think first thing now so I get to choose the order in which people go. What I would like to do is have Rogar get over and um, get the melee people off of Ishana. So at least knock one of them out potentially, or at least provide some breathing space for him so that he can go over and get to Godfrey and possibly save him. Oh, Godfrey, I need to roll the death save. So remember, if he gets a 20 on this, then he's okay. If not, things count down. Things count down. Okay. Yeah, rolling a 20 on it. D20 we know is rare, especially when they're trying to kill you. Uh, that is the dice for trying to kill you. What about Sage? Okay, so Sage does have this spell of sleep. And I think that could be a big help to us, potentially. Okay, pull out my magic section here. Okay, so sleep. Here's what it is. So it's near range, so everybody's within that because we've determined this is a small room. You weave a lulling spell that fills a near-sized cube extending from you. Living creatures in the area of effect fall into a deep sleep if they're level 2 or less. Okay, awesome. Vigorous shaking or being injured wakes them. This is wonderful. This is exactly what we want to have happen. So where do I want the cube to be? Well, I'd like it to capture. Um, the thing is, I don't want Ishana to get caught in it. I certainly don't want us to get caught in it. But it might it might be worthwhile actually. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. I'm going to try to cover everything except number one because that is all in a cube shape here. It's all within the near distance. So it's going to be a big, um, pretty big spell. But you know what? It doesn't really matter. It's a DC of 11 either way. And rolling magic. Let's see. He's rolling. This is intelligence based, so he gets +2 on it. Oh no, +3 it says here. Okay. He gets a +2 plus then I have another ability on top of that. All right, so at a +3, he has to hit an 11. 17, that's a 20. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sage. So we have a bunch of sleeping bandits now, as well as Ishana is asleep. Okay. We only have one guy left. So I think it makes sense here. Um, he would make a wisdom check to see about morale because that is part of the rules here. Right, so morale enemies who are reduced to half their number flee if they fail a BC 15 wisdom check, and bandits are not um, immune to this like some creatures are. So bandit wisdom is, I assume, not particularly high. It's a +0. So we're just going to roll here. Less than 15. Okay, no, he can keep fighting. So he's actually going to stay in the fight. All right. So he doesn't immediately run. So we still have Rogar gets to move. Right. So Rogar is going to come over to that guy and engage him in combat. Great. What does Rogar do? Well, I mean, he's just going to whack him with his great sword. Right. So that's it. This is at a +5. The AC that I'm looking for is a 13. And he fails. So Rogar, right, uh, you know, yelling his battle cry, "Hurrah!" and swings and totally misses. Totally misses. Well, It's okay. Well, I have 2 luck tokens. Might it be worthwhile to do that? No, I'm going to save them. I'm going to save them because this is terrible. Okay. Now, that we have determined that that bandit is still in the fight. Now, naturally, at this point, he is going to attack Krogar, who has engaged with him, right? So, and number one has a club, so he's swinging that club at a +1. That's a 5. That's a miss. All right. So now back over to our characters. So what are they going to do? I think it makes sense here. We know Ishan is asleep, right? So Sage is going to go over and shake Ishana to wake him up, which we know that does work, right? So he is woken. All right. So Shauna, I imagine, is a little bit groggy, but so we need you, right, to go take care of Godfrey. All right. Oh, Godfrey, by the way, did not make his death save. Right. But still alive, counting down 3. All right, so we wake Ishana up. Ishana wakes, and I think that he has enough time because he's relatively close to Godfrey, let's say. Right, so he's going to get over to Godfrey and he's going to try to cure wounds on Godfrey. If he can do this, he's going to set them over here to indicate that they are together, right? So if he can do this, that'd be fantastic. If he can't, we're in serious trouble because that means we would need a healing potion, which I don't think anybody has. Uh, nope, no healing potions. All right, so let's try it. So he's going to try Cure Wounds. He's at a -1 on this, needs an 11 total. That is a success. Thank you. Okay, so Cure Wounds. Let's find out exactly what that does. I don't recall off the top of my head. I mean, obviously, it cures wounds. But specifically, roll a number of d6 is equal to 1 plus half your level rounded down. So roll 2d6 then. I need a second d6. Here it is. And then one target you touch regains that many hit points. So we touch, and he would regain up to 8 hit points, but he only has 5 to start with. Right, so he is up to 5 hit points again. Awesome. Right, so Godfrey is back in the fight. Meanwhile, so Sage has acted, Ishana has acted, Rogar is who's left, as Godfrey is recovering, and I don't need that timer dying. Wonderful. So Rogar is then going to attack. The 7 plus 5 is 12. We don't need a 12, I don't think. I think we need 13, yeah. So that was not enough. So all right. So Bandit gets a turn again. Again, attacking Rogar. Rogar is relatively hard to hit. Oh no, he's not. He just has lots of hit points. Okay, and that is good enough. 18 would definitely be good enough. 18 plus 1 is 19. So that's a d4 of damage against Rogar. Rogar takes 4 points of damage. That's not fantastic. Okay. So 4 points of damage here. Got that marked down. Okay, back over to our people's turn. So, what can Sage do? Sage could try to magic missile the guy. I mean, that makes sense. So let's go ahead and try to magic missile him. Oh, well, that's exciting. That's a 1, which means 2 things. One, magic missile no longer available to Sage until he takes a long rest. 2, because he's a wizard, we get a mishap. So, mishap, what does it do? Well, let's find out. D12. 5. Mind wound. You can't cast the spell again for a week. Oh, goodness. All right, so is that mind wound? Yeah, mind wound. Okay. All right, can't cast for 1. I'm just gonna mark down 7 days. All right, then I can just hash them as the days happen. All right, well that's terrible. That's pretty terrible. Let's go ahead and have Hrogar make his attempt. So he's at a +5 on this. He's looking for 13 total. Whiffing, whiffing every single time. All right, well, let's get Ishana into the fight. Okay, so Ishana comes over to join the fight. Ishana is going to use his staff, which is also at a +2, and yeah, he hits immediately. Okay. All right, and a d4 of damage. 3 points of damage against that guy. So 3 points, and that's number one. So he's still standing, but not by much. And we have Godfrey he can get back into the fight as well, so he comes to join. And Godfrey rolls, and he is going to be using his dagger. It is a +2, and misses. Okay. All right. Next up, then, the bandit gets to attack. Now he is surrounded at this point, and I think it makes sense. He's probably going to keep going toward Rogar. Rogar, he knows hurt. He knows is hurt. So I think then he is going to keep attacking Rogar. Remember, it's AC 11. He gets a +1 on this. Yep, definitely hits Rogar, and it's a D4 of damage. 3 points of damage. Rogar is, yeah, not doing fantastically at this point. But then back to our people. So Rogar, in a rage, is definitely going to be whacking at this guy, and manages finally to hit him. It's a d12 +2, so this is definitely going to kill the guy. Yeah. So 8 points of damage. You only need one to take him out. So that guard is dead. Right, so we now leave with a bunch of sleeping uh, guards here in this room. I realized I forgot to have them light a torch, so they have lit a torch because this isn't a particularly well lit. Although, you know what? It's a wizard's tower, so it probably has windows. So, I'm going to say no, the dark isn't a problem here, actually. Um, that we're okay. We're okay at this point. All right, so I think one more thing that I want to do, because we know that Rogar's in bad shape, let's go ahead and have Ishana try to cure his wounds as well. All right, so let's do that. Oh, that was real close. So it's a 15 with the modifier, and that is enough to get 4 points of damage healed. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's down to 3 points of damage. All right. And I think this is actually a good place to pause. Uh, that was pretty extensive. Okay, so we'll just stop there. So thanks for tuning in. This is Profi signing off.